Okay, welcome back. I hope you had, I need to stand here. I hope you had an enjoyable lunch and you're ready for our afternoon session. So you've seen the programme already, so I'm not going to go through that again. And I'm particularly looking forward to this afternoon session because I get to put my feet up because my colleague Mark Elliott is taking over as moderator. So I'll quickly introduce Mark and then Mark will take you through the session. So Mark is a chartered engineer with over a decade of experience in building physics and facade engineering. He started his career in building design as a building science engineer in Canada, working on building condition assessments, facade remediation projects and new build construction. Mark later moved to London where he joined the WSP facade engineering team. More recently, Mark has joined CWCT, where his more academic and first principles approach to facade engineering is utilised to help develop and inform new guidance as part of the lecturing team, inform new guidance and as part of the lecturing team on the MSc in facade engineering. Mark, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. This is a new for me, and I think a new for David, who gets to relax for the first time in one of these. So hopefully he enjoys that, and if it works out, maybe he'll do it again next year. So yeah, our first presentation you see on here is on facade access and maintenance, facade access and key principles and the importance of accurate advice by Sylvia Lardy from Arup. Sylvia is a senior architect. She joined Arup in 2008 and is currently part of the building envelope team in the Milan office. She is also part of the facade access and maintenance UK team and the European region point contact for facade access and maintenance queries and jobs. She has worked on iconic projects, including towers, museums, airports, and shopping malls, luxury shops, and stadia. Currently, she is working on a range of projects in Italy, Spain, and the UK, where she uses her experience in both facades and access and maintenance. Her communication and technical skills allow her to develop compelling and accurate design solutions for complex projects. So I'll pass it over to Sylvia. Green for her.
Yeah. Thank you. I put this image as first slide because show the building that I would say was a switch in my career because I started as facade designer in 2008. But then when I was working on this building, I was a sort of bridge between the facade team and the facade access and maintenance team because the facade access and maintenance team that was working on this project was based in Sydney. And so I would say was a little bit difficult to manage. So this makes my, I would say, door open into facade access and maintenance with a facade design background. What we will see today, during this presentation, we will try to understand why it's so important to consider access and maintenance from the very beginning of the design. I'll go through a hierarchy of equipment, trying to classifying them for risk of for operators. And then we will try to go through the main challenges that facade access and maintenance designer has, showing them through projects. And then I will show some projects at the very end, giving it at the end time for questions. So, to try to answer to this question, why consider access from the very beginning of the design, we need to try to answer to other questions that are quite a lot, and I excuse for those two slides. They are the unique two with a lot of written words. All the others have images. So why access is required, when access is required for cleaning, maintenance, inspections, repair, emergencies, and for which part of the building, envelope, structure, MEP, but also, I don't know, lighting feature, all the part of our building requires access. And what are the consequences of a poor access strategy? So our building may function not in an efficient way. The operation may not be organized and defined. And so our building can become dirty, unpleasant, lose value, and the cost will be increased. Because if you don't have something that is organized and defined, you will have definitely some hidden cost that will come out. And instead, what are the factors that we can influence with a very good facade access and maintenance strategy? The aesthetic of the building, but not just because it's clean. I will show you some projects later that will explain better this topic. And again, the cost. Just one slide regarding the legal requirements. So how it works for Great Britain, and I would say, if I have to say the truth, it's similar also in other countries. So we have some health and safety law that are health and safety at work, the CDM, working at tight regulation, the Building Safety Act we already spoke about. And then we have some regulations and codes and standards that help the designers to reach the goal. Yes, EN 1808, 795, 1422. I think that the slides will be, I would say, part of the public, I would say, material that have been shared, so I will not read this because it's not, I would say, the important part. It's important, but I would say it's more funny to talk about something else. So this is not coming from no, this is the real life. So why it's so important? It's so important because prevent is better than cure. So operators, as an aim, clean the facade, but if we don't give them the real strategy, the right approach, the safe approach to do them, they will do in the wrong way, in the no safe way. They will do some super funny things that will kill them. So we need to help them to do the right thing, the safe thing, but we need to do it from the very beginning, when we design our buildings. With this slide, I would show you the importance of the culture of the safety, and we have the UN SDGs. Even if it's hidden, in the UN SDGs, there's the safety culture. We have the SDG 11 that refers to safe, sustainable, resilient, inclusive cities. The SDG 3 that is very relevant because it's talk about well-being of the people. And the SDG 8, which highlight a decent work. There's a lot of work to do on this topic because many times we face on the sentence, we have always done in this way, it's always been fine, but it's not true. It was just lucky, but there were so many people that were not lucky, that faced a different way. And I will close this sort of theoretical part with a sentence that came from our new strategy, the future we choose, the global Europe new strategy. It's a sentence said by Jerome Frost, our new chairman, and he said, "We have now deliberately included the word safe as fundamental descriptor of our purpose. For us, safe is safety of the people that are working on the project, us as designers, people that built our projects, and people that we will use, people that we will maintain our project. So safety at 360 degrees. Let's pass now to the hierarchy of access provision, but related to the solution, thinking about the risks of every one. We have this we start with sort of pyramid when we work on projects, trying to apply as first I would say the topic of the top of this pyramid, so trying to avoid working at height, because the working at height is the main issue. Passing through, trying to define safe place, and I will show some examples. Then, if we are not able to define safe place, we can apply equipment that prevent issues, or, as in the lower part of our pyramid, we can apply equipment that minimize the consequences. And I put that arrow that goes down, that instead is written increase, so it's a little bit misunderstanding. But if we go down in our pyramid, the required competencies of the operator that are working with that kind of equipment must increase. So we need to consider that. So let's start from the top of our pyramid. The top is avoid. Avoid means try to design buildings that avoid working at height. It's almost impossible, I know. But we can work a little bit on that and try to, I would say, have operable windows, try to have balconies, terraces, space where the operator can work safely. And we also have, I would say, a lot of innovation in the market to reduce the risk or avoid the operator to go on top of a cradle, because we have robots, we have drones, or we can apply poles if we have lower high buildings. But we have to remember that all of this kind of solution are, yes, really good, because they are reducing the frequency of access by operator, but we need to have the access we need to provide the access by the operators, because for, I would say, for maintenance, if I need to touch my facade, I need to go there. So they are really good, but they need to go in parallel with other systems that allows us to access the facade. Passing through the second level of our pyramid, we can talk about safe place. I will show these projects later a little bit more in detail, but this is a project that we have developed in Milan. It's an arena. And at the beginning of the project, we had the situation that you can see on the left. So we were in the situation where the cleaning of the facade was done via fall restraint systems, because the slab from inside to outside was continuous. But because we have this sort of double kind of space, the glazed part is the user space, and the opaque portions are the, I would say, more technical spaces. Because we were there, all together in the design team, so the facade access designer were in the design team, we proposed to reduce the risk of access and maintenance of the facade, because we were able to create a sort of safe place where the operator can clean the facade without changing the, I would say, the shape of the aesthetic of the building, just creating a space. But something like that is feasible just in in the case that you are there from the very beginning. Because if I say to the structural engineer, please cut the slab and create a sort of L-shaped element when we are on site, they will say me, no way, never, forget it. Now we are passing through other levels of the pyramid, now looking at the equipment that prevent the risk of fall from height. And we have some equipment that, like MUPs or BMUs, that are, I would say, comparable to a system with collective protection measure. And I like the note that I put on the bottom. So all the regulations require to the designers to prefer as first choice collective protection measure. And then, if it's not possible, we can, I would say, prevent and minimize with personal protection measure. But the first choice needs to be the collective protection measure. And then, if not possible, we can see if we can do it in another way. Other systems are debit arms, as I shown you before, the 4 restraint systems. And then we go to the system that, I would say, minimize the consequences that are anchoring points, rope access. They are safe if well integrated in the building, but they cannot be the first choice. So we need to start from the top of the pyramid to reach the bottom. We cannot start from the bottom to go to the top. Now I would show you some challenges that we encountered, I would say, during our day-by-day through projects. And the challenges are access frequency, geometry, color, closed cavity facade, building obstruction, louvers, planters, and rope access. Starting from the first 3, access frequency, color, and geometry, and I would like to go through those 3, showing this project that is the National Qatar Museum that we developed with Jean Nouvel. Talking about color, at the beginning of the design process during the contest, this building was designed as white. But we are in the middle of the desert with a lot of sandstorm, and so it would never be white. It would always be sand dirty. So why don't we choose the color of the material? So that was something that we suggest to reduce the frequency of access. Because if we have the color of the building that is similar to the sand, that is the part of the environment that is dirtying our building, we are reducing a lot the frequency of access. And then the geometry. Can you see that is a complex geometry building? So it's always important to understand the geometry of the building and trying to manage it to reduce as much as possible the risks for the operators. For example, in this case, we went through a geometry analysis of how the MUPs can access the building, and then had 4 restraint system on the top. Second challenge is the CCF. You know better than me what a CCF is, but because of the double skin I would say, facade, internal DGU, external laminated glass, we are facing a lot of complication for the glass replacement. And it means that if we are applying a CCF, we need to be aware that all the parts of our glass, usually the internal glass, need to be coordinated. So it's not just put the BMU on the top and it's done. We need to go through every single corridor that the glass need to pass through to be replaced. The lobby of the goods lift, that is the size of the goods lift, the capacity of the goods lift. So it's a quite huge coordination process that is important to consider when we have CCF on the facade. Third group of challenges are the obstructions. I put this project that is Vista project in front of the Thames that we developed with Make Architects for Mitsubishi Estate London Limited. Obstruction, why? Because now our buildings are not just rectangles, they have balconies, they have terraces, but if we have a balcony that obstructs the access of all the lower part of the building, we have an issue. Here with that red strip, you can see exactly the situation. At the beginning of the design, there was those group of 3 balconies that was obstructing the access of all that red portion. And because the, I would say, access and maintenance designer was on the table, we rise up the hands and say, look, we cannot access that portion via the BMU because we have the BMU that goes down and we cannot do glass replacement easily. So because of that, those 3 balconies was shift just a little bit. It's not a difficult thing that you can do at the early stages of the design, but it's definitely something difficult if you have a look at the end. And also louvers. When you have louvers on the buildings and you have glass on the back, it's always important to consider the space that you leave between the louvers and the glass to allow the operators to clean in between. Because if the louvers are too close to our glass, we cannot clean in between, and so our building will be dirty. In this case, we also had the issue of the replacement, and so we had an internally beaded portion of ventilated facade that was also replaceable from inside to avoid to remove the louvers. But sometimes the louvers can be removable in case of glass replacement. So they are all things that a facade designer need to consider and the facade access and maintenance designer need to consider during the design. Now pass through the challenge of the planters. We have so many projects in this period with planters, and they are a challenge for us because they are usually in front of the glass. And so we need to consider how access the glass, how clean the glass with the planters in front. And so it means that the depth of the planters and all the other things need to be considered. This is 18 Blackfriars, a project that we are developing with Foster & Partners. And for this project, we went through a very deep coordination process for defining the position of the planters because of the emergency landing of the BMU on top of the terraces. So it's a very, very important topic also, this one. And last challenge is the rope access. Not a challenge because of the rope access, but because of the, we are pushing every time to sort of choose this as first solution. Because to many people, it seems that it's reducing the complexity. But as I said before, it cannot be the first choice. It could be the choice if all the others are not feasible. We also went through a process of asking, I would say, to HSE inspectors their thoughts about that, and the answer will always be like the notes that I put before. Collective protection measure needs to be preferred to the personal protection measures. I will quickly go through in 2 minutes 2 projects. One is the one that I've shown you before. It's the Milano Santa Giulia Arena. We will finalize it in the next months for the Olympic Game 2026 for the hockey competition. And then it will be converted into concert configuration. As I've shown, there are strips, opaque and glazed, and this is how we deal with the facade access and maintenance. Of course, we also have fixed equipment like monorails and BMU on top to clean the opaque facade that is a sort of multimedia facade with LED and aluminum tube. And the last project that I would like to show you is an existing project where we worked on the replacement of the BMU on top, but the challenge here was that the BMU, was clamped on the existing facade. So it was a really important coordination process with the facade designer and the BMU contractor that was on board from the very beginning to, I would say, define a new strategy. We ended up with 2 options, one that was very similar to the existing one, so a beam with the cradle that was running through a monorail, or a super big cradle that span all the facade that allows the operator to be faster and also have an easier way of replacing the glass. We ended up, of course, with the monster. That is an amazing monster on my eyes. It's a 34 meters long cradle clamped on the facade that, when in parking position, disappear. So no one sees it when it is in parking position. And this is in operation and installed. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Before we open it to questions, I'll just have my own. You mentioned people will sort of choose the easiest option. I think it's human nature to always go down the easiest route. How do you ensure your options aren't so complicated or complex that someone ends up avoiding it and going down some other route?
So the issue is when you don't give any solution, so you don't give any choice. But if you give, so it's difficult to ensure that people don't do something wrong. That's I cannot control, sorry. But it's difficult to do the wrong thing if you have a procedure. So the issue is when you don't have the procedure and when you don't have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, your brain will start to dream and do what you want. But if you have a procedure, probably you follow it.
Yeah, great. Are there any questions? I'm thinking at time, probably have time for one, maybe 2. I think there's one just up in the corner there. I know, it's hard to see with the lights, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. Alistair Hill from the Facade Doctor. We're finding even on relatively recently built buildings, there are still areas where architectural preference seems to have taken over from CDM requirements. Are you finding that's gradually improving, or in your experience?
Sorry, but I have to say that I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat it with a louder voice?
Yeah, apologies. So we're finding even on recently built buildings that CDM appears to be taking a back seat to aesthetic appearance. Is that something that you're finding is gradually improving in the industry?
I would say it's in my opinion, is important to be involved and to try to find some solutions that I would say, make happy all the people of the design team. I know it's difficult, but if we don't do that, we don't do our job, I think. So I don't know if I answered to your question, but yes, it's difficult, but we need to try to integrate as much as possible the solutions, because if not, we don't do our job.
Time for one more, I guess, and then if anyone has one, hard to see. No, I think I'll call it there since I'm already apparently failing to control time. I've learned from David well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.